American consumers, small businesses, they're seeing higher prices. Supply chains are getting messed up.
Right, the ripple effect. And what about in Canada? How's it playing out there?
Well, Prime Minister Trudeau, he's basically signaled that tariffs on U.S. goods could go even deeper after July 21st if talks don't work out, which puts a lot of pressure on that Liberation Day deadline Trump mentioned for, maybe more action.
So tit for tat continues.
Pretty much. But what's also really interesting is Canada seems to be turning inward a bit. They're actively working to break down trade barriers between their own provinces.
Yeah.
Internal tariffs, basically. That's historically been really tough to do up there. But now it looks like they see it as crucial. Part of this one Canadian economy idea, maybe to make themselves less vulnerable to U.S. pressure long term.
That's a big internal shift. And beyond the official moves, this is hitting a nerve with regular people too, right? We're hearing about boycotts.
Yes, definitely. A real wave of consumer boycotts of American stuff in Canada. It's become a point of national pride. People are openly pushing back against some of Trump's comments, like, the idea Canada could just become a U.S. state. That public feeling, it definitely adds pressure on their government to hold firm.
So pulling back a bit, what's the bigger picture here? What does this all mean for the region, for the world?
Well, the obvious thing is the U.S.-Canada relationship itself is in a pretty perilous spot. There's this growing fear of a really long, damaging trade war. It could mess up supply chains, energy markets, just the whole way North America works together. And, U.S. allies elsewhere, Europe, Asia, they're watching all this very closely. They see Washington using these aggressive tariffs, not just on Canada, but China, the EU, maybe others later. It just adds to global economic uncertainty.
Yeah, it feels like this deep connection, this integration between the U.S. and Canada is being tested like never before. It really could be a turning point, couldn't it? Where that mutual reliance starts to give way to, well, just looking out for number one, protectionism.
Exactly. And maybe something for you, the listener, to think about is, how might this fundamental shift in the North American partnership affect other alliances around the world? Could it change how global trade works? What are the really long-term consequences of this specific dispute for economic cooperation, maybe even for what it means to be an ally?